Hello and welcome to Midwest Writers Room. Our mission is to encourage, educate, and celebrate writers of the Midwest. I'm Luella Schmidt.
And I'm Ken Humphrey. Today's chapter break episode features Sarah Jane Peters and her latest publication, Conscious Parenting in a Digital World.
Sarah Jane Peters is a peace and love teacher in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a licensed counselor, storyteller, musician, and mother of three. Through her practice, she helps families navigate the digital world with presence, emotional connection, and care. Conscious Parenting in a Digital World came out in August of this year.
So let's take a look at this book itself. Written with busy caregivers in mind, it offers quick access tools, age-specific strategies, and reflective prompts that deepen your understanding of how to meet your child's emotional needs in a fast-paced, tech-saturated world. Through nervous system awareness, creative analogies, and gentle encouragement, Sarah Jane invites you to return to presence, nurture your relationship with your child, and explore how healing your own story transforms the parenting journey. Ideal for parents, educators, and cycle breakers ready to foster conscious connection and emotional clarity without shame, rigidity, or overwhelm.
All right. Welcome, Sarah Jane Peters, to Midwest Writers Room. We're so happy to have you here today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here. Thank you, Ken and Luella.
You bet.
Yeah, we're happy to chat with you about this. And, if anybody watching on YouTube right now, this video, if you see the corner of a harp over Sarah Jane's right shoulder, we may have a little bit of a new thing to try during the reading today. But before we get to that, let's talk about the book itself. How did the story come about? Was there some sort of inciting moment for you, Sarah Jane, when you thought, this is the type of book I got to write?
Yeah, definitely. I this story came about during a really pivotal time in my life. I had heart surgery for bradycardia last fall, and for the first time in years, I was forced to slow down. And that period of recovery, about 2 months, um, came as an unexpected gift of reflection. I began to look at my own childhood, my patterns, the truths that shaped up how I show up in the world, and maybe what was breaking my heart, right? So there were vulnerable pieces in my story that surfaced, things that I'd carried quietly for a long time. So writing became a way to process that, but also a way to inspire others. I wanted to show that healing and awareness are a part of a parenting journey too. At the same time, I was noticing how quickly technology was shifting family dynamics in counseling and psychoeducation work. And I see that themes repeat: overstimulation, disconnection, burnout. And I realized that if the tools and language I was using was helping one family, then why not help 10, then hundreds? And it's time to share those insights more broadly. So that realization became the foundation of conscious parenting in a digital world.
So I'm going to riff a bit off tangent on this. One of my pet peeves, Luella probably knows this. We have this whole generation of kids now, right? And they're up into their mid 20s that they've spent so long in this digital world, right? Staring at screens, first with video games, and then once phones came along, smartphones came along, that we have an entire generation that seems like they struggle to interact in
Yeah,
person with each other.
absolutely. Mhm.
And I made it a conscious effort with my kids. I'm like, look, you shake somebody's hand and you look them in the eye. When you speak to them, you look them in the eye, right? None of this navel gazing stuff that I'm going to blame Pearl Jam or Nirvana for first bringing out into the world, where they just they sort of look down and they just don't have that presence. And I said, these are things that, regardless of whatever type of job you're going to go for, whatever career you're looking at, if you can do those things, look people in the eye, communicate straight with them, speak your mind, that's
Mhm.
going to take you much farther than just about anything else. And to me, it is becoming almost an epidemic of how we've got kids who just they can't even order in a restaurant sometimes because they don't want to look the waiter in the eye. And they just sort of, look over to mom or dad and say, you can order for me. Has that been kind of your
Okay.
experience too?
Sarah Jane, I cannot wait to hear you answer this question, but I want to tell the story that I went into like a Chipotle in person and ordered food, and I didn't realize I have not been in a restaurant. Every time I order from a restaurant like fast foodie, I'm almost always door dashing, and I didn't even realize it. And in the last year, I went for the first time in person to order, and I was like fumbling around, like I forgot how to interact
Right?
with.
Yeah.
It's not just the younger generations, but go ahead, Sarah Jane. I really want to hear
Oh,
your answer.
I love that we're talking about this. This is obviously a huge passion of my heart. Children, we are seeing an increase in ADHD, an increase in spectrum related disorders, all of these sort of things. Obviously, technology is a major component of it, but I like to stay focused on the positive, that kids can learn skills. They are kids. They can learn these skills just like you are going into a restaurant again. I do touch on in my book how COVID impacted all of us in our social anxiety and overwhelm. I mean, anxiety is through the roof in our culture right now. And a part of that is because of isolation. So if we remove people from those experiences completely in the pandemic, and then all of a sudden we have to go back in the real world, even our adults are struggling. Now, our children who don't have those skills naturally, whose parents are not on point with it because they're overwhelmed as well, aren't learning the skills from their parents. So this is something that we can do together and recognize that it starts small. It starts with little boundaries with your kids. The things that you're saying, Ken, hey, look at me. I want to see playing games with eye contact. So in my book, I introduce so many strategies for parents in ways to do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, good. I'm glad we're kind of on the same page there. Right. And Luella, you always speak to me straight up. You make eye contact. I think you'll recover your skills very quickly next time you walk into a Chipotle.
I mean, I even told the staff that, like, I was making jokes about myself. Like, I think I've forgotten how to interact with people. And they laughed and said, we see that actually often. So, I mean, it's not just
Mhm,
young kids and it's not just me, apparently. So,
mhm.
all right. So, Sarah Jane, tell us a little bit about what your path to publication was like for this book. Did you have different choices you made, or did you know what you wanted right from the start?
Well, I started out originally and I wrote it just as a self help book. And then when I had my procedure and my surgery, I really incorporated some more personal notes, which is something that was very vulnerable for me. As a therapist, I don't disclose as much about me, but this gave me an opportunity to do that. So I decided to self publish, which was empowering, but definitely a learning curve. The creative part was natural for me, writing, structuring ideas, but navigating the editing, layout, and distribution and the computer aspects of it, that took effort. So I worked with an editor and I would source them on Fiverr. So that was great to be able to find somebody through that. And that she really understood my tone and the heart centered nature of my book. And then I also leaned into some business supports available through the University of Wisconsin Green Bay system. And they offer resources for professionals and entrepreneurs. They help me stay accountable to my goals and create a clear timeline for completing my book. So that structure combined with the mission of peaceful practice has helped me bring it to life in a way that feels really authentic and aligned.
I thought it was interesting. The UW systems, all of them really have really great resources for entrepreneurship. And I thought it was interesting that you referenced entrepreneurship to get your book done. Because I think a lot of writers don't think about it like that, but we all are all little entrepreneurs, creating our products, whether we want to think about it that way or not. That's a
Yeah.
great resource.
Yeah. I've been so grateful to work with them. And I am an alumni of UWGB. And so I have nothing but good things to say about what they're offering for business professionals.
So tell us, as you were writing, did you have any, big struggles or notable moments that when you look back on the creation of this work that kind of stick in your brain?
I guess, yeah, kind of coming back to what I was sharing, the biggest challenge for me was balancing that vulnerability with professionalism. So, sharing enough of my personal story to connect and inspire, but doing it with integrity and purpose. So, there's always that question of like, how much do I reveal? But every time I chose to reveal something authentically, it opens a door for others to feel safe in sharing their stories too. If I'm willing to say, hey, I made a mistake as a mom and this happened. Then another mom's going to say, oh, I don't have to be perfect and I'm not perfect. And now we can do this together. So, a notable moment was when I realized that this wasn't just a book about parenting, it's a book about healing our own nervous systems and rewriting old scripts and relearning presence. And that's when I knew that this wasn't just a guide. It's more of a movement toward conscious and compassionate living.
Oof, I absolutely love that.
Well, and I like too that I mean, you're kind of walking the edge of the blade there between a self-help book and a memoir, right? I mean, it's, as you kept saying, it's a juggling or balancing act. And truly, you were balancing between what type of book this could be. This could have very easily fell into the memoir category of this was my life and I had this surgery and now I've changed because of it. And yet you had to kind of keep it into that self-help realm. So I can imagine the challenge that would come with that, because it's easier to write about ourselves, right? Because we write what we know. But to keep it in the self-help category, right? That was probably a good effort on your part. All right, Luella, should we dive into the reading?
Yeah, so Sarah Jane is going to read an excerpt from Conscious Parenting in a Digital World. Whenever you're ready, maybe orient our listeners to what part of your book you're about to share so that they kind of know what's going on, and take it away when you're ready.
Well, I like to talk and play a little and tinker on my harp when I talk. So I'm going to be reading just from the introduction of my book and the opening, just to kind of draw you in so you understand what it's about. So, sacred technology, a message for the keepers of the next generation. You were never meant to fear the screen, nor to idolize it. You were meant to stand beside it, sovereign and awake. Technology is not the enemy. Disconnection is. In a world where artificial voices scream louder than ancestral ones, our children are growing up in a realm of friction, fragmentation, and fabricated identity. But this book is not about fear, it's about reclamation. You, parent, you are the living interface between nature and the machine. You are the translator of rhythm, the guardian of real breath, and the reminder of how to feel. Technology is a tool, but a child's nervous system is a temple, and you hold the blueprint for keeping that temple intact while the world accelerates. But what if the goal was not to unplug forever, but to remember ourselves inside of the current, to teach children how to stay connected to their body, to their voice, to their spirit, even while they interact with screens? This is your invitation. To bring reverence into the digital, to teach emotional frequency as fluently as coding, to be the grounded presence in a world of constant signals. The overuse and misuse of technology is not just a distraction, it's dimming the light of our most beautiful and sensitive children. Their brilliance, their emotional frequency, their ancestral memory. It's all being blurred by overstimulation and artificial rhythm. This book is a call to remember, to recalibrate, and to reclaim what matters most. Introduction. The COVID-19 pandemic and the mental health wake-up call. The COVID-19 pandemic became an unexpected and powerful mirror for families across the globe. What it revealed was sobering. A generation of children suddenly removed from the rhythms of classrooms and peers and in-person experiences, replaced almost overnight with screens. What began as a necessary safety measure quickly spiraled into an emotional and developmental crisis. Children became more anxious, less connected, and more reliant on technology for stimulation, distraction, and even self-worth. And parents, overwhelmed and stretched thin and facing their own emotional whiplash, often had to make impossible choices. What we witnessed was more than digital fatigue. We saw an erosion of attention spans, the increase of emotional dysregulation, and the silent swelling of social anxiety. It wasn't just the children, the parents too were affected. The weight of balancing survival with presence exposed cracks in our collective understanding, what children truly need to thrive. This book emerges as a response to that moment, a guide for rebuilding. So, whether you are a parent, an educator, a mental health professional, this book offers practical tools, research informed insights, and gentle but clear truth. We explore the intersection of child development, technology, and emotional resilience so that you can help create a future where children feel more grounded, emotionally secure, and capable of navigating life's challenges. There is a scene in The Sound of Music that plays like a memory in my heart. Maria stands outside of the gates of the Von Trapp family estate, singing, "I have confidence," in a mixture of nerves, courage, and a prayer wrapped in a melody. She isn't walking in with authority. She walks with rhythm, presence, a willingness to meet the unknown with an open heart and a soft spine. Maria didn't arrive an expert. She arrived herself, and that was enough. And in many ways, her energy lives inside this book. You don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to follow someone else's formula. You're not here to manage your child. You're here to meet them, to move with them, to witness their becoming while staying rooted in your own.
Okay. Every future chapter break is going to have some music.
You know,
I mean, that was so cool. Was it
I
the first
was
time, listeners, that we're trying to do this, or allowing a person to do this? I thought it felt like a poetry slam or something. I don't know. It really made it so much more enjoyable. And I just want to, like, the our nervous systems are temples, not just our kids. All of our nervous systems are temples. I thought that was so pertinent in the beginning in your introduction there, and to teach emotional frequency as fluently as coding, like, just, oh, touched my heart. I was like, yep, there you go. We've not been very good at that as a
Yeah.
society, and we are just starting to get better at it. And it's a hopeful time in that way. And I feel like books like yours are just hugely helpful in getting us there. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Ken, did you want to make any comments? I can see you were excited too.
Yeah, I really feel bad for future guests on chapter breaks. If they don't show up with some instrument, although I will say I'm going to draw the line at bagpipes, Luella, but everything else, fair game. That was Sarah Jane, that was less a reading than it was a performance. I mean,
Yeah.
Luella, you nailed it on the head when it was like a poetry slam. Like your rhythm in reading just reminded me of a poetry slam interspersed with the notes. I mean, that was fantastic. Sorry to all future guests, but boy, you got to up your game because this was something. Man, oh man.
Thank you. You know, the harp is a beautiful sacred instrument of resonance. It is a beautiful instrument. And so I feel blessed to be able to sit by it.
It really fits you well. It's such a perfect instrument for you and for this work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So tell our listeners where they can find your book, where they can find a little more about you.
Absolutely. So you can find my book on Amazon, Conscious Parenting in a Digital World. And I just am launching a new website, peaceful-practicellc.com. And you can learn more about my offerings there. I'm offering some different things for systems reevaluation and keynote speaking, trying to integrate the work that I've done in my book and making some different change. So I'd love to make connections. If you're a family seeking support, or a parent seeking support, certainly you can reach out to me via my website. And then I also have a Facebook page, Peaceful Practice LLC.
All right. And the book's been out a couple months now. So do you have any appearances or book signings?
Sure. Well, I am a musician. So actually, this holiday season, I'm working with a beautiful cellist, lounge singer, Arthur Gabriel Smeal, and we're focusing on holiday music. And so the next couple of months, I'm doing a lot of bringing in maximum holiday joy, starting in January. And so in December, I'll be at the Chris Kindle Market, downtown Green Bay, in the main tent in the morning and then again in the afternoon, providing some holiday music. Also, then on December 21st at the Green Bay Area Botanical Garden, Garden of Lights, I'll be playing with my friend Arthur Gabriel Smeal. And then Saturday, January 10th, coming into the new year, I'm really going to be launching this book. And I have a book signing at the Lion's Mouth Bookstore in Green Bay from 11 to 1 p.m.
All right, fantastic. I'm assuming all these will be listed on your site, and we'll have the link to your site down in our show notes. So I want to take this time right now to thank Sarah Jane Peter for coming on, introducing us to conscious parenting in a digital world. And not only that, folks, just a serenade. The excerpt with a serenade that just starts the day off right. I want to thank everybody out there for hanging out with us in the Midwest Writers Room. I'm Ken Humphrey.
And I'm Luella Schmidt. Words ignite imaginations and spark change. Never underestimate the power of storytelling.
Midwest Writers Room is a production of the Wisconsin Writers Association. Writing and editing by Luella Schmidt and Ken Humphrey. Sound design and editing by Ken Humphrey. Music for the Midwest Writers Room was written by Michael Ramirez C. For more information, please visit wiwrite.org/podcast. Thank you.